All right, hey, I'll open up the questions. Obviously, we're excited about, our second scrimmage exhibition here. Playing somebody else before we get started for real here against, obviously, a really good Cincinnati team. So, glad Cedarville, I think Pat had talked to me for a couple years about playing, and we always want to play Ohio schools in this exhibition. It's something we really want to do. We had kind of a unique situation last year with former coach, but we're excited about playing another Ohio school. I think we'll typically play one, and it'll be a different one every year. Pat does a great job. He's got a veteran group, a Division II team that I think's picked third or fourth in their league. Which is a really good Division II league. So they have some veteran guys coming back off of a team that won over 20 games last year. So, it's a team that is, I know, going to come in here. He told me that they sold, I think, 1,500 tickets in less than an hour, and maybe we gave them another 1,000 or so. So it's been a great thing for their school. They'll come in here and play with tremendous energy and passion, and Pat does a great job. So we're looking forward to tomorrow night. Everyone, as I said yesterday, is relatively healthy outside of Musa. That is before practice gets started here today. All right.
If you know that they're going to come in and play hard and all those things, you said yesterday, like in the Louisville scrimmage, that when Louisville really turned it up, that's when you learn some things about yourself. Are you interested to see then how you guys are going to respond to some of that, and will that tell you a few things about what this team might look like this year?
I probably ask me afterwards, and I'll know more. We're preparing. We're trying to prepare our team for a little more than what we did in the Louisville game. Although that's a little bit tricky, but we're just trying to go through a little bit more of what a pre-game day experience will look like in terms of scouting. But it's not going to be exactly like it would be against Cincinnati. But I think the thing I'm most curious about is how will so many of our young guys play with people in the stands, people watching, just a different environment than what they've had day-to-day practice. So I think I'm probably most anxious about that.
Are there things in these scrimmages or these exhibitions that do play out over the course of a season? Like, I look back last year, you guys turned it over 21 times. That was the first thing you talked about. Then obviously you struggle with that. Are there things that you found that are common in exhibitions that you can identify will be issues throughout the year?
I don't know that it's. I think you get some insight, but I don't know that it's a trend necessarily until we see it for a number of games. It's an interesting stat you threw out there about the 21 turnovers, because that obviously was a bugaboo for us last year. So we'll see. But our rotation, we're going to play a lot of guys, so I think we're going to have a lot of mistakes given our youth, and we're going to have to teach through that and play through that. And part of that will be turnovers. But I'm interested to see how committed our guys are to playing the way we want to play. That's probably the biggest thing we're looking at. How committed are they, whoever enters the game, to playing the way we want to play on both ends.
Hey, Chris. Hey. Players a moment ago mentioned four numbers. I think I remember them. 8, 12, 15, and 193. Mm-hmm. And you have made a point of drilling those numbers to your players. Can you go over why you decided to go that route? Obviously, there's some thoughts and motivation behind it. Take us through why you wanted to do that and what you think we get out of it.
Yeah. I should have told him that stays within our locker room.
That's interior information.
Yeah, who volunteered that up? Dwayne?
It's on tape.
Okay, all right, I'll find out who that was.
They're readily known benchmarks that you guys set with such,
Yeah. That it's just a reminder for us as much as anything. It's a reminder for all of us that go in and out of our locker room. Did he explain what the numbers were?
He did, connected to the stats.
Okay, yeah. So it's just a reminder to us about how we're trying to improve in specific areas. And obviously a couple of those numbers we don't touch until we're into December, and we have conference play. But, there were certainly a lot of good things that came out of last year, but there were some things that all of us have to do a lot better, and we recognize that. And that's the challenge in front of us, and that involves our turnover percentage and our league record, and obviously our overall losses. So it's just a reminder on some things that we're trying to intentionally be about getting better on a day-to-day basis. So as much as anything.
Chris, you mentioned yesterday that when you were talking with the fans that you'd like to see, or like to be able to put Caleb in different spots on the floor. Maybe you don't want to say where in particular, but can you just expound on that a little bit? Where would you like him to maybe expand his offensive game a little bit? What areas would you like him?
I think like he did last year, the perimeter for one, obviously, and not just being a shooting threat, but that's part of it for sure. I think moving him around is going to be critical for us, and that's going to be critical throughout the season. We talked about it a lot, the fact that and I just talked about it with these guys, that it's really hard to against really good defensive teams, just to shove the ball down the post. And it puts a lot of stress on your offense. So we need to be able to do some things and move him around and utilize his passing, his shooting. He's a very willing passer, as we all know. But I think he continues to improve his accuracy from behind the three. I think those numbers will increase both in attempts and makes this year.
I think we've seen that he can obviously score in the post, and he was a pretty good three-point shooter last year. Has he developed at all mid-range jumper, and do you foresee him at all being someone who could catch it, mid-post or short corner and then get to the basket from there?
I think so. I don't know that, that's been a huge focal point for him. He's a pretty good mid-range shooter, but I think for him, we've worked on him attacking some closeouts when guys press out on him and try to take away his three. We've worked on him being able to catch and shoot off a little more movement this year, which is always a challenge for a guy that's as big as he is. Those are primarily the areas. Him making better decisions with the ball as a playmaker sometimes is critical. So that's the ways we're looking to utilize him, more face in the basket, but he's always going to be obviously a low post threat, and we're going to try to get him angled scores.